Not even her dog. It's my dog! She's taking my dog!
On December 5, 1945, a squadron of 5 U.S. Navy TBM Avenger torpedo bombers known as Flight 19 departed from Naval Air Station Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for a routine training mission. What followed has since become one of the most enduring mysteries in aviation and maritime history. The disappearance of Flight 19, along with the PBM Mariner sent to search for it, has fueled decades of speculation, conspiracy theories, and popular fascination with what has come to be known as the Bermuda Triangle. Despite official investigations, the fate of the aircraft and their 14 crewmen remains officially unsolved. Following the end of World War II, the United States military remained highly active, with extensive training programs designed to maintain combat readiness. The TBM Avenger torpedo bomber, a rugged and reliable aircraft, had served with distinction in the Pacific theater. By late 1945, thousands of newly trained pilots and crewmen were still cycling through flight schools across the country. Flight 19 was part of a routine navigational training mission, designated Navigation Problem Number 1. The mission was meant to test flight cadets' ability to navigate over open ocean, execute bombing runs on specific targets, and return using compass bearings and dead reckoning. It was a standard exercise flown countless times by instructors and trainees alike. The flight was to be led by Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor, a seasoned pilot and World War II veteran with more than 2,500 hours of flight time. Despite his experience, Taylor had only arrived at NAS Fort Lauderdale 2 days earlier and was unfamiliar with the specific training routes and regional geography. At approximately 2:10 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 Grumman TBM Avenger bombers took off from NAS Fort Lauderdale. The flight included 14 men, 13 students, and 1 instructor pilot. Each plane was fully fueled, equipped with compasses, and had emergency gear. The weather was favorable for flying, partly cloudy skies, light winds, and mild sea conditions. The planned flight path was triangular. The aircraft were to fly 120 miles east to Hens and Chicken Shoals to conduct a mock bombing run, then turn 73 miles north, and finally return on a 120-mile leg southwest back to base. Initial radio communication with the flight proceeded normally, but sometime after the bombing run, communications indicated that Lieutenant Taylor believed he was lost. At around 3:40 p.m., he reported that his compasses were malfunctioning and he was uncertain of his position. Flight 19 was then heard zigzagging in its course, and Taylor seemed to believe he was over the Florida Keys when in fact he was likely over the open Atlantic. As confusion deepened, the squadron continued flying east or northeast away from land. Radio operators on the ground tried to communicate with Taylor and urge him to turn west, but it became clear that the flight leader was unsure of where he was or which direction to fly. By 6 p.m., with fuel running low and daylight fading, the last communications were received. At 7:04 p.m., all contact was lost. Upon realizing Flight 19 was overdue, the Navy launched an immediate search and rescue mission. One of the aircraft dispatched was a Martin PBM-5 Mariner flying boat from Naval Air Station Banana River. This aircraft, with 13 crew members aboard, took off at 7:27 p.m. Less than 30 minutes later, it too vanished without a trace. A nearby tanker, the SS Gaines Mills, reported seeing a mid-air explosion and fire on the ocean's surface around the time the Mariner would have been in the area. It is believed that the Mariner may have suffered a catastrophic accident, possibly due to a fuel vapor leak, an issue the model was known for. Over the next 5 days, the Navy, Coast Guard, and hundreds of ships and planes scoured more than 250,000 square miles of the Atlantic Ocean and Gulf of Mexico. Not a single piece of wreckage from Flight 19 or the PBM Mariner was ever recovered. The Navy's Board of Inquiry initially cited pilot error as the primary cause of the disappearance. Lieutenant Taylor's navigation errors, combined with malfunctioning instruments and deteriorating weather, were thought to have led the planes away from land and ultimately into the sea, where they likely ran out of fuel and ditched. However, Taylor's mother and others pressured the Navy to revise the report. The final verdict became ambiguous, stating that the cause of the loss was unknown, which only fueled public speculation. The disappearance entered popular consciousness as an unsolved enigma, and as early as the 1950s, writers and theorists began linking Flight 19 to the so-called Bermuda Triangle, a loosely defined area of ocean between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, alleged to be the site of frequent, unexplained disappearances. Several theories have been put forward over the years, ranging from the mundane to the fantastical. This remains the most widely accepted explanation, Taylor, disoriented and possibly suffering from vertigo or confusion, mistook the Bahamas for the Florida Keys. Believing he was over the Gulf of Mexico, he may have led the flight further out to sea. Fuel exhaustion would then force the planes to ditch in the water, likely breaking apart on impact. Taylor repeatedly reported that his compasses were not working, although there is no definitive evidence of a widespread electrical or magnetic anomaly. It's possible the instruments were damaged or Taylor misread them. As night fell, visibility worsened. Overcast skies and a rising sea state would have made visual navigation nearly impossible, increasing the likelihood of disorientation and fatal error. A less commonly held view is that mechanical failure or collision between aircraft led to the loss. However, this would not account for the disappearance of the entire formation without any debris or signals. Popularized in the 1960s and 70s by authors like Charles Berlitz, theories involving alien abduction, time warps, and interdimensional travel have entered pop culture but remain without any scientific basis. Some early post-war speculation suggested enemy submarines or saboteurs might have played a role. This was quickly dismissed, as the war had ended months earlier and no such threats were detected in the region. The mystery of Flight 19 is often cited as the foundational incident in the lore of the Bermuda Triangle. While the area had seen shipwrecks and losses before, the disappearance of 5 trained crews and a search plane captured public imagination like no other. The case was dramatized in numerous books, documentaries, and films. It appeared in the 1977 Steven Spielberg movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where Flight 19 is shown having been abducted by extraterrestrials and returned decades later. Despite the popularity of such ideas, scientific and naval experts consistently emphasize natural explanations, human error, unpredictable weather, and the inherent dangers of over-ocean navigation. In recent decades, advances in sonar and deep-sea exploration have helped researchers locate many long-lost aircraft and ships off the Florida coast. Several TBM Avenger wrecks have been found, but none definitively identified as belonging to Flight 19. In 1991, a group of divers discovered a set of Avengers near Fort Lauderdale, but serial numbers and other identifying features ruled out their connection to Flight 19. The ocean in the region is vast and deep, and the aircraft may have sunk to depths that make recovery impossible with current technology. Flight 19 has become symbolic of both the potential dangers of flight and the allure of the unknown. The incident is memorialized at the Naval Air Station Fort Lauderdale Museum, which contains extensive records and a reconstructed hangar from where Flight 19 took off. A marble memorial placed at the Naval Air Station in 1991, marking the 50th anniversary of the event. The names of all 14 men on Flight 19 and the 13 aboard the Lost Mariner are inscribed to remind visitors of their service and sacrifice. The disappearance of Flight 19 remains one of the most compelling unsolved aviation mysteries of the 20th century. While the most logical explanations point to navigational error, bad weather, and fuel exhaustion, the total lack of wreckage continues to puzzle investigators and inspire speculation. More than just an incident of historical curiosity, Flight 19 represents the fragility of even the most well-trained crews in the face of nature's unpredictability. It also serves as a testament to the enduring human fascination with mystery, loss, and the unexplained. As technology improves, it is possible that the wreckage of Flight 19 may one day be discovered. Until then, it remains a haunting chapter in the annals of naval aviation and a cornerstone in the myth of the Bermuda Triangle.